This tutorial is strictly made for controlling the rings, not for making them. You can go to the Thingiverse link in the description or the other link. It's a video by Blunderpot. He did a good job on it. So with that out of the way, let's get into the tutorial. Okay, first you're going to need to go in and find the file location of the rings. Either do it from the tutorial that you'll have just done, or you can go and download the link in the description from Thingiverse. Get rid of the cube and then select the rings, and then go to set origin and then bring geometry to origin, and it'll bring it into frame. Then you can scale it down to whatever size you want, and then you'll be ready to start making the control points. Next, you need to add a cylinder into the scene. This will be the light source. Then just finagle it into place, try to center it in the ring, and then you can bring the top and bottom down to the top section of the ring, just so it isn't sticking out at the top. Then do the same with the bottom, and then you can inset the two faces so that the ring is still hollow. Next, you should bring it into the materials tab, and then set the base material for the ring, and set it, just find a nice bronze color, somewhere in between orange and red. Set the metallic to, I don't know, just eyeball it real high, and then bring the roughness down, but that won't matter because we'll just be plugging a noise and a color ramp into it. Just adjust the colors until you like it. I like a pale brown. Pale bronze. But anyway, just find the color that you like. And once you've done that, you can go and select the ring material, delete the principled BSDF once you've made a new material, and then plug in an emission shader. And again, all up to you what colors you want. But if you want what's in the video, copy it. And just bring up your emission value to what you think looks good. All of this is really subjective, so just go for it. So I've been referencing this whole time one of the video trailers to get the color right. I'll put the link to the trailer in the description so you can do it too, but it's not that hard. You can just copy what I'm doing. So then you're going to want to go back to the material for the ring, and you want to plug in a noise texture into the roughness, and then in between it you can drop in a color ramp, but before we do that we should unwrap it so that the UVs are spread out correctly. So go ahead, mess around with the parameters, do it until you get something you like, and then drop in that color ramp. So bring the black to, I don't know, any point you like, and then bring it to a gray. And then with the white, bring it to another gray. So you don't want it to be perfectly matte, and you don't want it to be perfectly shiny, because both of those don't look realistic. You want to find a nice balance between the two. So dark gray and light gray seems to work well with me. So I messed up on the first step. I didn't get the rings perfectly tucked in, so you can go ahead and just do that right now if you messed up like me. But anyway, now you should have the fully textured thing, and it should be looking like the ring. So select both of the objects and join them together, and then you're going to want to go and make sure it looks nice, make sure you didn't mess up anything up. I don't know how you would, but I don't know, just make sure you haven't. And now it's time to start adding the controls. So add an empty plane axis and add it at the center, and then you're going to want to go in and add a location parameter to the ring. So it's at the bottom in constraints, and copy location, and then use the teardropper and select the empty, and the influence should be set to 0.5. This is important later. So you need to add the main control point next, and I just use a sphere because I like it, but you could use literally any other empty that you like. There's a cone, you can use an image as it, but anyway, add another empty in the center of it, and this will be used as a rotation control. Right now we're making a gyroscope. So you take the outside shell, and then you parent the previous empty to it, and now we're going to go in and add a constraint to this to copy rotation. But we're not using copy rotation, we're using a transform constraint. So you're going to want to set all of the values from map from to, I believe, -1 and then +1 on each one. It's just kind of tedious to enter in, but the effect is worth it. You can mess around with these values to get more extreme or less extreme effects, but go from the map to well, map from to map to, and switch it to rotation, and then switch all the values to -10 to +10, and do it for all the same values again. And this will make it'll amplify the small movements. So if we move it a little bit, it'll rotate a lot. And again, you can mess around with this as much as you like. This is yours. I'm not telling you exactly what to do. Again, it's mostly subjective. But anyway, then you have to go in and apply it. So if you take a look, it's not really working. And the reason why it isn't is because we didn't press interpolate. So you have to go back and then select that empty again. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you have to use the teardropper to select the gyroscope on the outside, the empty. Go back in and then select extrapolate, and then it'll start rotating with it. So now it's time to copy rotation, and then select the empty at the center of the gyroscope, and now it's going to copy its rotation. So if we go and move that around, it should rotate with it. See, look, already starting to get that effect. So now it's just time to start duplicating the ring. We have to do this 5 times because, well, I guess we could do it 10 times, but I like to do it with 5. I've done this a couple of times. 5 looks good, 10 looks unbalanced. So just shift duplicate the empty and the, what's it called? The ring. And then, as you can see, it's really not working because all of these have identical parameters. And we want them to move a bit differently. So set the first one to 0.4, well, the second one to 0.4, third one to 0.3, fourth one to 0.2, and then the fifth one to 0.1 or 0, I can't remember, 0.1. And now we can move them and stretch them out. And now they can move independently from each other. Well, not independently, but they move different from each other now. But the rotation is still the same. So we need to go in and adjust similar parameters for each one. Again, I'm doing this at random. I just do what I think looks best. So you can just copy me if you want. But again, random. This just looks nice to my eyes. Like, see, look. Nice to my eyes. But that might look horrendous to some of you and you want more symmetry. So it all depends on what you want. You can press the invert axes selection to change, well, to invert it. And then you can change its influence to affect how much it rotates. And now you have a working rig. So go celebrate with this. I don't know, move it around real fast for fun. But it works now, so you got that going for you. It's got a couple glitches that I still haven't worked out yet, like the rings will occasionally clip really fast. I'm still trying to figure out why that happens. But you can go in and dial it in more to get something more to your liking. But overall, I think this is pretty good.